Hello, everyone. I'm Grace Peters, a Programs Associate at SmileTrain. As we've seen throughout the day, cleft awareness, connections, and education come in many different forms. I'm thrilled to be here, joined today by Katie Manning, an artist who is working hard to raise awareness of cleft through her work. Hi, Katie. Thank you so much for being here with us today. Let's get started with introductions. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your connection to the cleft community?
Hi, Grace. Nice to
Nice
see
to
you.
see you.
So I'm Katie. I'm Katie Manning, and I'm an artist, teacher, mother, and wife. My husband and father-in-law are all cleft affected, as was my firstborn daughter. So I have three children, girl, boy, girl. And so I guess my first conversations and understanding of cleft came when I met Will, my husband. But previously I had no connection or awareness or knowledge of cleft at all. I had thought back through my life, and I do think that I went to school with a cleft affected person, and I do remember through my teaching career in Singapore we had a student who was cleft affected, but so now my connection to cleft is very much a personal one. Yeah.
It would be great to hear more about your career path. Have you always worked as an artist?
So I was born an artist, and I sincerely believe that we are all born creative. But for me, I was born to make art. Absolutely no doubt about that at all. It's always been in my soul. From my earliest memories is of me drawing an eye, and I was so proud of it. And I remember showing it to my mum, and it was like, I thought it was the best drawing of an eye I'd ever seen in my entire life. But despite following the traditional route of art, because it was all I ever wanted to do, and gaining a degree in textiles and surface design, and I worked freelance for a bit, I was unable to make that really work. So in my mid-20s, I ended up training to be a teacher, which was the most incredible experience, and I completely fell in love with it. I taught multidisciplinary art and design in secondary schools for 21 years. And although it was not without challenge, as you can imagine, 11 to 18-year-olds, they don't always want to sit and draw. Not that we just did drawing, but it gave me so many transferable skills and some incredible relationships. And sharing my love and my passion for creative arts with others has been and is one of the things that led me to taking the brave step to leave my teaching career and start my own business, which is called Art by Katie Manning. Because as well as being a born artist, I have always had a sneaky want to build my own business. I just didn't know what that was going to be. And the two things kind of dovetailed, and I left teaching in 2019. But cleft portraits at this point, they weren't on my radar. That was something which came a little bit later.
Awesome. And from your perspective as an artist, as a creative person, I know you had mentioned that we're all creative. I don't know if I'm as creative as you are, but from your perspective, how can art support well-being and mental health and happiness in general?
Yeah, so we are all creative, Grace, because you would choose what you put in your house, right? You will choose what you choose to wear, and you will choose how you do your hair. And all these things are like creative decisions that we make. I think we have a preconceived idea about what being creative is, being arty is. For me, it's everything that you can do in a self-express, to express yourself. For me, art is freedom. It is, like I've just said, really totally and utterly open to personal interpretation, because you just cannot get it wrong. You can't get it wrong, and each person has a unique way of expressing themselves, as unique as your fingerprint. And I believe that creativity is in the soul of every child, because you watch any little people and they love to sing and dance and draw and dress up and paint and express themselves in any which way, shape, size possible. And I often think, who are the most happiest and adaptable members of our society? Well, it's our kids, it's the children, it's that spirit that they have. So we can learn a lot from them, and they are creative expressions, like a pure form of creative expressions, and actually they are a product of the ultimate creation, right? And they are untainted by society's conditioning and judgment and expectation. And that's why they are so free and so joyous in their expression. And I believe that joy needs to be experienced throughout our lives. It's not just for when we're little. It's the joy and the connection to self that art can bring, and the self-discovery, and therefore the imperative importance that creativity and art are literally fundamental to our well-being.
And from your perspective, how can art support our well-being? And what impact do you hope that your art has on members of the Cleft community and on the public?
There's two different angles. So one is my art teaching and my creative coaching, where I bring together groups of people, and we have had a few Cleft creative workshops with people coming who are affected by Cleft. There's more of those as well on the way. And then there's the Cleft portrait work. My Cleft portraits are to celebrate and raise awareness for our global affected community, and they are to show the pure beauty and incredible journey that is Cleft. It really is the single most growth-inducing experience of my life to be the mother of a Cleft-affected daughter. And I want the Cleft-affected community to feel seen and heard and respected. And I want my art to also help parents to see the raw beauty that is their journey, and a journey that I understand. The children are our greatest teachers, and being the parent of a Cleft-affected child, baby, young person, adult, is incredible. And so the project is, the portraits are to show that journey, and my experience of that journey, I hope, can be seen in the work that I produce. And also, at the same time, I'm raising funds to support Smile Train with their work now and into the future.
So, what does Cleft representation, especially as a mother, through art mean to you?
Creating these portraits, I think, is incredibly important because Cleft can affect anyone. And the world needs to be aware of the impact that Cleft can have on families and individuals, and that it is not something that just gets fixed. It's a multifaceted thing, and it can have numerous effects on some families, not all, but some families and individuals. And these effects and situations and all the stuff, all the things, can last a complete lifetime. But as with anything, if you don't know, you don't know. I didn't know once, but if you don't know, you don't know, and you literally can't know what you don't know. And so this work, created by me in what I believe to be our universal language of art, is to start those conversations which enable people to learn and speak about Cleft in a positive and inquisitive way, and hopefully starting conversations that will enable a kinder and more accepting world.
And so, when did you begin creating these portraits of Cleft-affected individuals? And can you tell us a little bit about the 100 Cleft Portrait Challenge that you've been working on?
Yeah, of course. So I began this work, or this challenge, in November, I think, although I'm not 100% sure on the timing because lots happened in the year of 2020.
It's been a crazy year.
Yeah. So it started around the end of 2020. And around the summer, maybe spring, summer of 2020, when all the lockdowns were happening and the children were sent home from school, and my husband is a head teacher, so that had a huge impact on our little unit in the world, if you like. We were going through quite a bumpy part in our Cleft journey and our parenting journey, because that's what happens when you become a parent. My daughter had literally been in hospital every week, I think. No exaggeration, it was ridiculous, for her dental stuff during 2019. And she, towards the end of 2019 and beginning of 2020, she started to withdraw and behave in uncharacteristic ways. different to just the normal kind of team questioning stuff, which happens to all of us. And I wanted to see what support was out there. So Ella was born in Singapore, and we were essentially away from close family and good friends. We had a network there, of course we did, but I think she and I kind of got used to just getting on with it. But as those affected by cleft will know, the journey kind of oscillates between busy, hospital, emotional times and quiet times when everything's kind of knocking along okay and you haven't got to go back to the hospital for 6 months to a year, and you just kind of life takes over. So when we were going through this time, I started to look on social media, and also building my own business. I became more aware of social media, but I hadn't really been into it so much because I was a teacher for obvious reasons. I didn't really want chats with students on social media, so I kind of kept away from it. But at this time, towards the end of 2019, 2020, I was like, okay, let's see what support is out there. I look on social media and I discovered two incredible women. One, Ashley Barber, and the other was Jen Cross, who's here in the UK. And initially I reached out to Jen, and she was amazing and incredibly supportive and kind. In fact, she texted me just today. She was the first person that I drew, and then I drew her son. And when I realised, what literally sounds corny, but it's so true. I literally woke up one day and I knew I needed to draw cleft affected individuals. And when I had this realisation, I had like a visceral reaction in my body, and the power of that thought process was undeniable. And since I had that initial realisation, I latterly decided to draw 100 because I understand the power of the repetition of image. I love patterns, so the repetition of image does something quite special inside our brains. It's really pleasing and powerful. And I know that 100 will start the conversations that I want to have, or that I want to start, like I mentioned earlier. And if those conversations can help to educate or raise awareness for just one person, or help one person feel seen, I think that that's pretty cool. And also 100 is like a sponsorable amount, right? Because it's a bit of a challenge. So people really like numbers, and so I thought, right, I'm going to do 100. And that way the project raises funds as well as creating beautiful pieces of work of beautiful people. Yeah.
That's incredible. And how many portraits have you done so far? And how long do you think it will take you to complete the 100 portraits?
So far, well, I'm actually currently working on the 23rd one. And I had initially in my head, I'm going to do it in a year. Well, what is it now? October, right? So that means I would need to be finished in March next year. That's just not going to happen. Totally and utterly, the process is very intuitive, and it will organically work out more powerfully than I can probably ever imagine if I take my limited human brain out of the equation and allow the process to unfold in the time that it deserves to unfold in. Because when all of them come together, that's going to be quite incredible. Yeah.
And so, as part of the challenge, you partnered with Smile Train UK to draw portraits of several Smile Train patients. Can you tell us a little bit about that process and why you chose Smile Train?
I decided to reach out to charities because together we can shout louder, basically. And I want to make an impact, and I want this work to be seen by as many people as I can possibly humanly, as many people as can possibly see it. And so I reached out to Smile Train in Clapper, yeah. And Jonathan and Ian from Smile Train were really excited and inspired by what I was doing, and they offered me images of from their work around the globe, which is ace because I want the portrait collection to be diverse and fully representative of the globally cleft affected community. And working with Smile Trains obviously enabled me to do this, because I wouldn't be able to do that by myself. And Clapper, interestingly, were more interested in the creative teaching side of my work, so sharing creativity to bring together the cleft affected community online and doing creative workshops and stuff. So the two different angles of the way that I'm doing things have actually worked really well with those different charities. Yeah.
It's amazing. So, and we're so happy that you reached out to us and can share your work and share just your amazing talents with our community. And so now we're going to share 3 portraits that you've created for the 100 Cleft Portrait Challenge. And thank you for walking us through this process. So here we have the first one up.
Oh yeah, so this was one of the first ones that I did, and it's really important to me that, as well as representing the diverse community, it's also important that the images themselves are created in lots of different media. Because I taught for so long, and one of my most favourite age groups was your 16 to 18-year-olds, because of how enriching it is to connect to someone's inner artist and be able to use all the different ways that we can be creative to inspire that individual. So I have learnt and understand lots of different creative techniques now, and I want that to come through. I want that, these pieces to be different. So some are stitched, and some are printed, and some are line drawn, and some are tone, and some are colour, etc., etc. So this lovely girl, she is fine liner, and I think it works really beautifully with this image. I don't make those choices consciously. I kind of just get inspired. I look at an image, I think I want to draw that. I don't question it any further. I just do that. And that's how she came to be drawn with this line, because actually when I was drawing her, and I was drawing the line underneath her eye and up to her hair, and from her nose and mouth up to her hair, I did think, oh, I don't know if those work, if this is going to work. But actually she works really powerfully, and I'm really pleased that, yeah, she looks amazing. She's beautiful.
She is, isn't it?
So she was one of the first.
Yeah, I remember seeing the original photos of this Smile Train patient in our database, and the photos are extremely powerful, and the way that she holds herself and looks into the camera is incredible, and you capture that so well with this photo.
Yeah, she's a force to be reckoned with.
She is.
She's incredible.
She is. And so the second photo that we have to share.
Yeah, so this gorgeous girl also kind of spoke to me to be drawn, and I was concerned, or not concerned, but I wanted to draw her because I just, again, like, the eyes is just so powerful. So I decided that she was going to be in colour, so she's in colour pencil, and but I was concerned actually about how I was going to portray the translucency of her skin. She had the most beautiful skin. So her face is actually gold, although you can't really see in the photograph. And also because I am textile trained and I love pattern, as I've previously said, and surfaces, I really like her, her headscarf, how that works, and the colours on it, and how it kind of falls in front of her face. I'm very proud actually of how I managed to capture her eyes and the light in her eyes. And I do believe there is something incredible in the eyes of cleft affected human beings. So the eyes are always really important to me.
Absolutely. And so then the last one that we have today is here.
Oh, yeah, so this is Miller, and Miller is the first portrait that I was officially commissioned, if you like, to draw for her family. And this is when she was very small, very new. This is an interesting one because, again, it seems to be a pattern, but actually, I think it's a pattern for everybody when they express themselves creatively through maybe even through writing and a drama, whatever. There comes a point in the creative process where we think, oh my life, what's happening here? And with Nilla, it was because the image was so, there's so much shadow in it, so much light and so much dark. And to capture that was really important. So I layered up the colours, and there was a point when I had to stop and leave her for a bit, and I had to come back a couple of weeks later with fresh eyes because I wasn't sure what was happening, but she has turned out absolutely beautifully. She's one of the ones where I look at and I can't believe I actually drew that when I look at it. She's it's a really powerful image. And she's now about 3 and has a baby sister. So yeah. And also I picked her because I'm in communication with her mum. And that, I think, creates even more power when I'm working on the portraits. I've had some really emotional conversations with mums of children that I've drawn, which I think is really, it's just so special, right?
It is. Yeah, she's definitely glowing in this picture.
She's beautiful.
So, Katie, thank you so much for sharing your artwork, especially these last 3 images that we were able to see. I am so excited to see your book eventually and hopefully get my own copy. And again, thank you so much for joining us today. Your work is absolutely incredible, and it's such a beautiful idea to use your passion and your talent to support the Cleft community through your 100 Portraits Challenge. If anybody is interested in learning more about this or Katie's artwork in general, please visit Katie's profile or visit the link that was dropped in the chat box, or visit katiemanning.co.uk. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Grace. I love talking to you.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Q&A session of the Awareness Through Art, Katie Manning and the 100 Cleft Portrait Challenge. For those of you who might have just joined or joined in late, we just heard from Katie, who is an artist and creative coach based in the UK. Katie just shared with us about her journey as a mother of a cleft-affected child and a wife of a cleft-affected man, and her incredible 100 Cleft Portrait Challenge. So without further ado, we have a few questions for you, Katie, that are posted in the chat box. And for those of you who are listening in and who are tuned in right now, please feel free to continue to post questions in the chat box. So our first question is, how do you decide which medium to use for each portrait?
I'm muted, I think.
Oh, no, I can hear you, I think.
Oh, can you?
Yep, I can hear you.
You said I was muted. Oh, that's exciting. So say that again, Helen. Sorry, I was distracted.
No worries. So our question is, how do you decide which medium to use for each portrait?
The portrait chooses. I know that sounds a little bit odd, but I look at it and I just intuitively feel I need to use something, and I just do it. I don't question what I intuitively feel when I look at an image. I kind of know, and if I don't get that, I come back to it. So I just don't overthink it, which I think is key when we're being creative. And I just so it's either an instinctive thing or I come back to it, until I get that. So no, there's no science or like anything. It just literally I just
I love your answer. The portrait chooses. That's amazing. So our next question is, how long does it usually take you to finish a portrait?
They vary. They really, really vary. So it depends on the complexity of it or the size of it. Obviously, the ones where I've just used graphite are much quicker because the process is more simpler, less layering. But when I use colour, then they take a longer time. I think you could see like Miller's took a long time, the last one, and then the two boys, Dominic and Nicholas, that took quite a long time. Because also when I'm drawing them, if I start to feel a bit iffy or a bit, oh, I'm not quite sure, then I just stop and come back when I'm fresh. Yeah.
Nice. And so the next question is, and I really like this question. What does your daughter think of the portraits, and does she feel more connected in the Cleft
Yeah. So
community
this
as
is
she has grown older?
Yeah, so this is obviously something that's really important, because if she wasn't supportive of it, I wouldn't do it. And there was that she is supportive of it. In fact, I asked her today about it, because I asked her to come today to see us, to do this. She said, "No, Mummy, I don't want to do that." And I said, "But you're still okay with me doing what I'm doing?" She said, "Yeah, I'm really proud of what you're doing." And she one particular afternoon, she actually told me that it helps her to feel more seen, and that she's very proud of it. That makes me emotional.
Yeah, no, I think for her to be proud of you for doing this, and for you to act as a leader and a role model, and be strong and connected to the community yourself
Yeah.
is so incredible. And I know she's probably told you this, but I mean that's just must be incredible for her to have you as a mother.
Oh, thank you, darling.
So our
I hope
next
so.
question. What sort of reactions have people shared in response to your portraits? And how do people usually find you to commission a portrait? I know that's a loaded question, so we can answer the first one first. So that was what sort of reactions have people shared in response to your portraits?
Beautiful ones. Really, really beautiful ones. And they really help too, because when you are being the Cleft journey can be quite a vulnerable one, and being creative is also quite vulnerable. So it's sort of like a double vulnerable whammy. So when people say to me, which they do, they love them, and they can really see and feel the energy in them, that's really important, because there is so much of that in them. So yeah, people love them. Yeah. And if people want to work with me, then they can just make contact, like just message me on Instagram or through my website. Yeah.
Awesome. And another question came in. Are you still accepting commissions for the 100 portraits?
Yeah, I'm accepting commissions forever for this. And the 100 portraits, I've still got lots that I have planned to do that I haven't done yet, because life. But yeah, I am doing it, and we will be having an exhibition with these 100 portraits in there, and we will make a book. And I'm so, like, when I talk about it, every time I talk about it, I'm like, this is actually happening. Like, this has to happen. And yeah, so contact me for sure, because I'm totally open to, and I have a big list, and I will do as many as we require being done. It's so important.
It is. And I think we only have 1 minute left. So we have one more question. Do you have a favorite medium for your portraits? I know you said that each portrait chooses its own medium, but do you have a favorite?
I don't think I have a favorite. I don't think I have a favorite. I think my favorite is to connect to the image, and be able to put it through my own creative process, and end up with something which is very, very unique and incredibly special. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for joining us, Katie. Your work and your story is absolutely incredible and inspiring. And thank you for all of those who tuned in to this session
Oh
today.
yeah, thank you everybody.
Thank you all. This is just the beginning of the day, so there are so many more amazing sessions to join in and tune in on. And happy CleftCon, everyone. Thank you.